welcome everybody. Today's video finds us over here in one of my favorite places here in Thailand. We're up in Lopburi today, and what we're going to take a look at is we're going to take a look at Phra Narai Ratchaniwet, or we're going to take a look at the King Narai Palace. This was built originally in 1666, and then it was abandoned upon his death in 1688, I believe. And then it was later restored by King Rama IV when he came up here like in 1856. The whole grounds is fantastic. There's a museum, it's a 3-story museum that has like prehistoric ruins, like artifacts from like up to 3,500 years ago. Then it has a lot of the Khmer stuff on the 2nd floor, and then the 3rd floor is kind of a mix of everything that they've had here. And it's really cool. The outer wall has like 7 forts and 11 of these gates, and then it has like 3 different zones. You have like the outer, the residence, and then you have like where King Narai did all of his daily things. So let's walk through here and let's kind of enjoy the day today. This right here is one of the 11 gates, and you see those little like notches right there? They would hang oil lamps in those to keep the walls lit up at night for the security. And then over here, this is like a water storage. It had these terracotta pipes that brought water right in here. And then we had a series of storerooms. There was elephant stables in here and a church over here. And that's where they plotted the coup against King Narai. And we'll take a look. We'll eventually make our way into the middle compound over there, and then the inner compound, and see the museum. But this is just an unbelievable sight. The condition of it is fantastic. Plus the museum is just like the last little light. It's like the feather in the cap here. Yeah, this right here is the water tank. You got a guy in here spraying for weeds, it looks like. And these are the pipes they brought in. This had all the modern amenities available at the time. You know, the 17th century, everything was modern here. There was a lot of wealth for the kingdom of Ayutthaya, so they were able to bring in engineers from, you know, Europe and everything, and they would design things here and give them all the modern conveniences. Now these were a series here of storerooms, and they're in perfect shape. I mean, as far as like a ruin, you have the little arch windows up top. That was a King Narai thing. That was the design element that they had. And this was a place here they would greet like the foreign envoys and stuff like that. All right, check this out. This is really cool. And you can see the arch over the door and the windows. Yeah, really nice. And that's the back side of the water tank. Yeah, there's 12 storage buildings here. Now, to get into the museum and this ruin out here, it is a pay site. It's 150 baht for foreigners. I think it's 50 baht for a Thai national. And these storerooms housed like royal possessions, cloth, stuff like that they traded, you know, maybe with like the Chinese or wherever. And you can see those little notches right there would have been like for floors. So this would have been a 2nd story up in here. And there would have been a doorway on the 2nd floor that would have connected you over here to this right here. Now it's just got a bunch of pigeons and stuff like that flying around. And it's kind of cool. You can see they came back in. They have restored this, so they got the new piece of wood over the window. And you can see how they built that little like lotus bud arch over the top of it. And right here right before the middle courtyard, you see these little ruins. So this was like the Malut stable. King Narai loved to hunt and ride his elephants. So they actually had elephants right here just outside of the middle compound. So if you could imagine back in the day, there would have been elephants here, people running around doing all their thing. Quite cool. And then we got like more buildings over here for the elephants. Yeah, it's quite cool. I really enjoy seeing like these old walls and that gate. That's Ayutthaya styling. And you'd see those at the temples and stuff like that. You can see right here, this is part of the elephant stable. So they had like an awning right here for the elephants. You can see the base of the columns. Yeah, King Narai was a very famous hunter. So they would go out here on their elephants. Yeah, elephants used to be really, really important to the Thais. I mean, they used them to build things. They were, they had their war elephants. And then they have another little building over that away. So we'll walk up to the church and then the envoy place over here. And what this is the reception hall for the foreign ambassadors. So it was used twice in 1685 and 1687 for the French and the Persians that came here. So it was used a year before King Narai died. And it would have had 20 fountains around here. But what a beautiful building. And you have a little bit of like the little arches and stuff over here that they've set over here on the side. And it's just right next to those storerooms. And you can see the lotus bud windows. Oh, it's fantastic. And it has you see these faux columns right here. That's the normal architecture you would see in Ayutthaya, like in the temples. And they incorporated it into this right here. Yeah, really beautiful. Now they have a really nice water feature around it. You can see the little lilies here. Got some purple and white ones. This is beautiful. And what we got right here, this is the little church. This is where the royals got together and they conspired against King Narai to take over. And we'll look in here and then we'll walk through the residence and then we'll go into the museum and the throne room and everything. This right here is the Prao Chow How Hall. And this is where the usurper took over from King Narai. His name was Phra Racha. And he called a meeting of all the royals and they met in here. And then King Narai, they think maybe he was poisoned. And then he died just in the residence right behind here. Yeah, so you can see the windows with the styling over there. Has the faux columns. Oh, this would have been a magnificent hall. And there would have been a Buddha right there. And you can see all the plaster work and everything on the wall. And then you got the notches up there for the cross beams. So check out these gates. Look at the size of those doors. And then it has the lotus bud arches. Yeah, and then you see the battlements on the wall. Just a beautiful compound. So this right here is where King Narai's residence was. And there was fountains and gardens and stuff like that all through here. Now it's just a big empty green space. But it's nice because it has all these shade trees. And I think the whole complex here is just a little bit over 12 acres, like 12.4 acres. So it is just absolutely massive. This over here is what they call the Sutta Sawan Throne Hall. So there was 4 fountains on the corners. That was for the king to bathe in. And then you had a fountain in the middle. And then they had like orange trees and everything else in here that the king personally planted. And this is the site where King Narai died in 1688. And before he died, he supposedly gave some things to his loyal ministers where they were able to join the monkhood after his death. And because a lot of times what they would do, especially in a coup, is they would execute anybody that they saw as a threat to the next regimes. Yeah, so this would have been one of the little fountains here on the corners. So all this was plumbed with those pipes coming out of that water tank that we saw when we first came in. It would have been quite nice. And it of course would have had a roof and everything over it, so it would have looked way different than it does today. And then we're going to go up into there. That's the throne hall, and it is a massive building. Yeah, you can see the little model and stuff like that. And we'll go up in here. Looks like we got a group of Thais that are enjoying the day. Yeah, it's just absolutely perfect weather today. Can't ask for much more. So we have another one of these huge gates. And this here is the throne hall. It's a 3-story brick building that is just something else. It is amazing. And it's just outside of the residence. This is kind of the inner courtyard here. You can see the lotus bud windows and doors. So in the old days, you were forbidden to look at the king. So everybody would have been down here face down, and the king would have came up here and would have spoken to him, and everybody would do their things. That's how they would do the affairs of the king. But check out how massive this building is. So that is a statue of King Narai. Very, very cool here. You can see a little bit of the surviving plaster here. Yeah, really cool. But you can't go up there to the second story. And then the third floor is all gone. But you can see some of the notches and stuff for the cross beams. Yeah, really a fantastic building. Now these over here, these were built by King Rama IV when they came over here to Lopburi to restore this. And this houses the museum and then another building right next to it. Yeah, this is the outside of it. What a fantastic building, surviving from the 17th century. Now this building, check out the contrast. This will be built in the Western style. This was built by King Rama IV. And then we have, well, used to be like the temple right there. And it has another little bit of the museum. It's kind of interesting how the foundations, they've incorporated the laterite stone, because this was Lavo back in the old days, which was like the Khmer, like regional capital for this part. So they would have cannibalized those from ruins and everything else. You see the little notches right there for the oil lamps. It's kind of cool how they have those little styles right there. You see it's kind of like a rope or something in the plaster. I don't know what they would have had in it, but it's on all of the window frames. Okay, so we'll go in here, take off your shoes and go in. So the first floor will be the oldest artifacts, and then upstairs will be the Khmer and then the more modern stuff. Now there's no photography or eating or anything in here, so I'll just have to describe it when we get down. Okay, so the first floor, there's no photography. The second floor they allow, as long as no flash. So we'll walk through here. That first floor is fantastic. There's some really cool pottery, really, really nice, like old iron farming tools and weapons and stuff like that. Just so much to see. Okay, so now we'll go in here. This is the Khmer era stuff. Just an example of what's in here. So they found this lintel right here out of sandstone. And this is the elephant Airavata. And you can see all the little figures that they've carved in. Normally you don't get to see this. This would be up above the door jamb. Oh, but how magnificent is this? And what's cool about it is you have these like little Lodi figures right up here. And you can see here, and they just started making the outline and they stopped carving it. So this was never finished. And they say this is in the Kokher style. And you can see where they stopped carving over here on the side also. But this was found right here in Lopburi over at that Wat Mahahat by the train station. And it's kind of interesting. They have a sandstone lintel right above the door jamb here. And they talk quite a bit about the styles of the Khmer art. Because Lopburi here, or Lavo, was a Khmer like capital in this region after they kind of annexed it from the Dawadi. And it kind of was part of the Khmer, part of Dawadi, kind of ebbed and flowed depending on who was in charge in Angkor. You can see here, so this is a 12th century in the Angkor Wat style. And you can see the Buddha with the Naga around it. And it has like the prayer wheel over his head. Really fantastic. And you have stuff like the Shiva Lingas. And they have some of the other temples and stuff that are in this area. Yeah, this is a really nice display. And you have a whole room here full of the sandstone Buddhas. Yeah, and they just have all these little displays of some amazing little Buddha statues, different eras of the Khmer. It's really quite an amazing little museum here. You can see it says many bronze sculptures of the Khmer in Angkor Wat style, Bupong, Bayonne, all the eras. And this is pretty nice. We have some newer stuff here. This is like Lana styling of the Buddhas. And then we'll go up to the last floor in the museum here. Yeah, this is all part of the 150 baht you pay in here, part of the entrance fee to the palace. And the third floor, this is all the stuff where King Rama IV, when he was here in Lopburi, like his drawing table and bed and stuff like that. He was the one that was instrumental in restoring this palace after it was abandoned after the death of King Narai. Kind of interesting to make a whole room with his bed chamber and stuff. Okay, so we looked up there and then we're leaving here. There's just so much to see here. All these sculptures, you have the Sema stones, just so much history in Lopburi to see. Okay, so we're done in building one of the museum. Let's walk through here really quick. There's a few interesting little displays in it. Looks like it's starting to cloud up a little bit, bring some rain in here in a bit. Now you can go back in there also. There's the buildings that used to be like for the women and all of that back behind the main part of the palace. And this is an absolutely beautiful building. All the normal styling you see. And then this is what it looks like inside. You can see the red teakwood ceiling here. Have some maps and some stuff for King Narai. They have where the Siamese ambassador went to Paris to Louis XIV's court, and various other scenes in crystalware. That's pretty cool, some of the Japanese presence here in Ayutthaya. That's at Wat Yom is where that's at.
Hydraulic water, I love it.
And there's quite a bit here to this second part of the museum. Yeah, you can spend hours and hours and hours wandering around in here. Okay, so one more look around here. There's the throne hall, and then the museum, the first building we looked at, and then all the courtyard here. And over that way is those first buildings we looked at when we came in. And then it's just this beautiful open air with all the grass and stuff like that. Yeah, definitely worth the 150 baht to come in here and check out. That'll finish up our video over here at this King Narai Palace and Museum. This is fantastic. It's definitely one of the highlights here in Lopburi, worth coming over here to see. There's other things. There's the Khmer ruins, there's the Wat Mahatat, and just parts of the old city wall and stuff when this was under the Ayutthaya Kingdom. And there's things further out. There's King Narai's palace and the observatory, and definitely a lot to see here. It's kind of an underrated tourist destination. I would say if you get a chance, come up here. You don't have the crowds like you have in Ayutthaya, and definitely worth your time. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, stick around, then you get to see stuff like this. And if you've been here, have any questions or comments, ask me down below. And until next time, from over here in Lopburi, remember, life is a journey. Until next time, enjoy.